Hi, this is Yolanda Vanveen from vanveenbulbs.com. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to grow Stargazer lilies, one of my favorite lilies in the world. Now, in order to know how to grow them, let's find out where they're native. Now, Stargazer was crossed from some native bulbs from lilies that grow in Japan and China. So they like really nice mountainous areas, good composted soil, and good drainage, and lots of humidity and moisture in rainy season. So the native lilies come from this area. But the Stargazer, interestingly enough, was hybridized in southern Oregon state in North America by a gentleman named Leslie Woodruff in 1966. So he crossed different types of lilies together and came up with the Stargazer, which is now the third most popular flower in the world. So it grows very well in the Pacific Northwest because it's very similar conditions to its native conditions of the mountains of China and Japan. Now the Stargazer is very hardy. It can grow all the way up to Alaska and handle minus 30 degrees. But yet if it gets a little bit colder, sometimes they lose them. But down in areas like San Diego or warmer climates, they need a cool period in the wintertime. So they will be an annual, they won't come back. But by digging them up and putting the bulbs in a plastic bag for the winter with some soil and put them in the refrigerator for about 3 months and turning around and planting them, you can even get them to grow in really warm climates. Now stargazers related cloves and onions, they're all related, and you can see there's all the different cloves, and you could separate them out and get lots of little plants, but they're never going to bloom for a few years. So my attitude is keep it together and wait for it to multiply on its own, and never separate the babies till they're as big as the mamas. And you can put them in the ground or you can put them in a container, but it's as easy as just putting them in soil about 3 inches deep in sun or part shade. And then that way they'll come up and bloom every summer just beautifully. So I just have a container and I've got some gravel on the bottom, and then it's about 2/3 full of soil, and I'm putting it into the soil, and then I'm just covering it about 3 inches with some good potting soil. And you can put 2 or 3 in a pot as well. I just put 1, but a lot of times I'll put 2 or 3 because they just have a stem that comes up, so they don't take a lot of room, and they look good when they're crowded. And keep it moist, but never let it really sit in water because it can rot. Stargazers will do really well in almost any condition, as long as they have enough light and they've got good drainage and good soil. They'll come back every year and they multiply. So the trick too is once they're done blooming and they look ratty, so as soon as the blooms are done, you can actually, what it's called top it off, because they're still green on these leaves. It's getting photosynthesis down to the bulbs are multiplying quicker. And then as soon as these leaves turn brown, you can chop it to the ground, and you can just leave that pot to the side. Don't let it get too dry or too wet. You know, keep it moist but not too wet, and then it'll come back every year. Or you can put it right into the ground, as if you live somewhere where there's a cold winter especially. They love cold climates, and it'll come back every year, and you'll have the most gorgeous Stargazer blooms in your garden.